Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm a spirit channeler and oracle card reader who channels both light and shadow energies in my readings. So if you're easily triggered, please find yourself another reader. For those of you who still remain, today's reading will be a type of continuation from my last reading about past lives and what karma or negative pattern was still affecting you today from that past life. So the video will pop up here on the screen. If you haven't watched that, it might be in your favor to watch that one first. However, I recommend at least watching it after this one, because that reading is more talking about the details of what happened in your past life and like what pattern is continuing. However, in this reading, what I'm going to be focusing on is more to do with finances and prosperity. What is blocking your prosperity in general? So that could be prosperity in friends, love, and finances. What is blocking it in this lifetime, and what pattern came over from that past life that I spoke about in that last video that's causing these issues? This video is going to really hone in on what is happening, what is blocking it, what is causing this block. Now, it will probably coincide with the past life that I discussed in that last video. However, since patterns jump from lives to lives, you may find that details that come up in this reading are not 100% identical to the lifetime that I described in that other video. However, you should find that patterns remain the same. So you have 4 piles to choose from. This time I decided to use some bracelets. On the left side, you have the blue agate bracelet. Next to that, you have the hematite bracelet. Next to that, you have the mostly labradorite bracelet with a malachite in the front. And then on the furthest right side, you have a sodalite bracelet. So that's piles 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pause the video if you need some more time to choose your pile, and I will see you in your reading. Hello, pile number 1. Welcome to your reading. So the main pattern here, I'm seeing a competition happening between your family / your friends, but mostly your family and your lineage and just society in general where you grew up. Your identity, your lower level identity, like first chakra, who you are, who you associate with, that sort of thing. And I'm seeing a competition between that and what your soul actually wants to do, who your soul truly is, and who your soul truly wants to be in this lifetime. So there is some issue from your past life that caused you to have to put your own dreams on hold for the sake of your family. There seems to be something here to do with your birth family in addition to your marital family. You had to forego whatever dream or aspiration you really had in order to provide for your family, and also in order to make your family proud and to conform to their expectations. Now, some of you in this past life may have had to carry on a family business, and some of you may have been born into poverty and you had to go off and just get a stable job in order to take care of your family. And you couldn't think about your big dreams because you couldn't afford it. And for the meantime, you just had too many responsibilities on your shoulders. Some of you had a family at a young age. You got pregnant at a young age, or you got someone pregnant at a young age. And, as I said, you had to forego those big dreams because you really just had to get a stable salary to provide for people. Others of you, what you really wanted to do was not in alignment with what your family expected of you. It would have been something that they thought was too shocking, or would have ostracized you too much from your society, the culture you grew up around. Maybe you wanted to be a singer or an actor, and that was frowned upon. Maybe you wanted to be an artist, that was frowned upon. Maybe you wanted to be a religious leader, and that was frowned upon. Or maybe you had to do that, but you didn't want to do that. So there's something here about on one side, having to conform to society that you grew up in, your family, your romantic partner, your husband, your wife, and then the other side, what your soul is calling you to do. What in this lifetime, the past life, whatever you guys ended up doing for work, for your career, for your livelihood, was absolutely not what you truly wanted to do. You just stuck through it. You just did it anyways. I'm not really picking up that it was absolutely horrible, but it was just, you just needed to get by. You just needed the paycheck. You just needed to conform. You needed to please your parents, please the societal expectations. You didn't want to ruffle any feathers, so you just had to do it. So this is being brought forth over into this lifetime. What appears to be blocking your prosperity in general, in terms of finances, love, friendship, just a fulfilling life, and having an abundance of these things, is that you feel like if you do something that you truly, truly want to do, if you show yourself, if you show the true you, that the people in your life will not accept you. You are very aware of what people think of you. You could be aware that you're aware of what people think of you, or this could be subconscious. Subconsciously, you're just very aware of what other people think of you. Even on the conscious level, you feel like they don't play that much more of an importance in your life that they would play in, say, the girl next door, the guy next door to you. But in reality, it plays a heavy significance in your life, higher than you probably think it does. What other people think of you, particularly what your family thinks of you, what your family friends think of you, people in your society, in your culture, in your religion, your tight-knit group, very specifically, they're the ones who play a very significant role in the decisions that you make, subconsciously or consciously. Different people are watching this. If you feel like you don't know what I'm talking about, this is subconscious. If you do know what I'm talking about, this is actually stronger than you actually know, because think of it like an iceberg. Most of the iceberg is underwater. Underwater is your subconscious. So if you're aware of it, congratulations, but you're still only aware of the tip of the iceberg. You don't know how deep this actually runs. And I'm telling you, this runs as deep as past lives. With this Messiah card and this damsel, you are used to having to take care of people. This is very Cancerian energy. You might be a Cancer. You might have a Cancer South Node. But this is very Cancerian energy, always needing to take care of people, always needing to put people ahead of yourself. So the issue that you're having with abundance is that you're afraid on a subconscious level that if you make more money, or you're more happy and more content in your life, if you have more friends who just make you feel happy and abundant and prosperous, that your family won't accept you, that they're going to abandon you, that they're going to disown you, or that maybe your old friends won't speak to you anymore. So let's try to bring it down even more concrete. If you make past a certain amount of salary, your current friends will not align with you anymore, and they will not speak to you. Your family members will ostracize you. They'll think that you're bougie and stuck up, or they'll think that you sold out for a higher income and now you're one of the rich people and you don't really belong with them anymore. They'll think that you're selfish, that you are full of yourself, that you are a diva. These are all the things that you subconsciously believe. If you make more money, your spouse won't love you anymore, especially if you're a woman. You can't make more money than your husband. This again is a subconscious belief that you have. If you make more money, you can't have the family that you want. You can't have more children, or you can't have children at all if you don't have any children. You also can't get married if you make past a certain amount of money, because you will always be working. You won't have time to spend with your spouse, and they're going to get upset with you, and they'll probably leave you. These are subconscious beliefs that you have. Because you value the opinion and the closeness and the companionship of your husband, your wife, your parents, your siblings, your friends and family friends, and your community so much, you're afraid to ruffle their feathers. If you go off and do this career that you really, really love, the people from your community, your culture, your religion are going to say that what you're doing is sinful. This is another subconscious belief that some of you have. Maybe something that you want to do, maybe it's in fashion, maybe it's acting, it's singing, something that seems a little too in the world is going to rub these people the wrong way. So hopefully you get the idea. Those are the subconscious beliefs that you have about being abundant, making past a certain amount, and also it could extend to certain friends as well. Some friends who you meet and you really like them, you can't bring them around your old friends because you're afraid your old friends are going to say, who's this stuck-up guy, who's this stuck-up girl? So maybe it's an acquaintance that you met at work, or you met through an acquaintance at work. They make slightly more money or more money, but you guys just get on well. There's something of, they won't mesh with your family, with your current friends. You feel like if you invite them all out together, that there's going to be a little bit of bickering or animosity, and you have to keep them separate from each other. You probably resonate with having like one group of friends who you have to keep away from another group of friends, or who you have to keep away from like one person in particular, or two people in particular, who are themselves more in alignment with your soul and what you actually want to do. Even some events that you may go to, I'm seeing like you wanting to go to some events that are going to come off a little bit too high and mighty to your friends and your family members, and you have to sort of keep it on the low that you're going to these events. Like I'm seeing art gallery openings, I'm seeing orchestra concerts, I'm seeing live theater concerts, I'm seeing fashion shows, I'm seeing even just shopping in some stores. If some of your friends knew that you're shopping in some stores, even if you go in and you can only buy one item that's worth, how much, if they knew that you were in there, they're going to be like, why would you spend that much money on one item when you can go to this other store and get 3 things or 4 things for that amount? You have to keep some things under wrap of what you're doing. The thing is, to get to the level that you want to get of success, here we have this Liberator card and we have the Child Orphan card. So I suppose you understand what this means. You're going to have to free yourself from these people who are holding you back, these people whose opinions matter way too much to you. And that includes your family and these friends you've had for I don't know, since childhood. That may even include your spouse. If your spouse is perpetuating this old paradigm because you met them when you were younger, they may have to go as well, because they're not in alignment with what your soul actually is yearning for. They're more in alignment with your ego self, your lower self, the way you project your image to the world, the way you feel you're supposed to be, but not the way you truly are. Some of my friends probably make fun of you too, saying, oh, like, you're so skinny, why don't you gain weight? Like, kind of like mocking you. Or maybe they did this when you were younger, like, oh, you should be a model, but like in a mocking way, you know? It's kind of like they're throwing jabs at you, like kind of like, who does she think she is? Or like, you're really pretty, so they might be like, they're probably like, you know, oh, you should be a model, you should be an actress or something. But it was kind of in a condescending way, because deep down they knew that you had the potential to do these things, but they were jealous of it. Similarly with fashion, I'm seeing things in the arts, but of course this is a general reading, so it could be anything, but I'm seeing really artistic things here. I'm seeing fashion, modeling, acting, painting, singing. This is what I'm seeing. And they may have shattered your dreams, smothered your dreams when you were younger, saying, oh no, you can't do that. I'm seeing writing as well, you know, and some of them would have said things like, who do you think you are? Picasso, who do you think you are? Da Vinci, who do you think you are? uh, DiCaprio, like that. Who do you think you are? Campbell, Naomi Campbell. It's, there were these things, or they would call you by these nicknames. Oh, look, it's Naomi Campbell. But it wasn't in a way to make you feel empowered. It was in a way to make you remember who you are, because you're from like some low income family. So like, who do you think you are? You're definitely not Naomi Campbell. Like that. That's what I'm picking up, that these friends or schoolmates or even family members were saying to you, particularly when you were a teenager. So there needs to be a liberation between you and these people. You need to cut some ties so that you can heal these old paradigms. It's going to take some work. But if you're always around these people, and they're going to keep feeding back into you negatively. It's like the more you're around these people, the more you allow their energy to infect you. It's like you're eating rotten food over and over again. However, if you liberate yourself from these people, you're going to, and then after doing that, throw yourself into these things that really bring you joy. All the aforementioned things that I said, or anything that you can substitute that resonates with you. Throw yourself into it. You're going to be feeding yourself nutritious food. It's going to be the equivalent of that, metaphorically. So, you know, after you cut these people off, so what if you go to this higher end store? And I'm not seeing like super high end stores. I'm just seeing like just stores that just, you know, one pair of nice pants or one pair of a nice top will cost like maybe $50, as opposed to like $12 at another store. It's I'm seeing something like that. So throw yourself into these things. Of course, I'm not saying go out and like spend a lot of money, but like, don't force yourself to go into these stores that you just don't like anymore because you're not a teenager anymore and you don't want to wear those clothes anymore. Go into those stores, even if you're just looking around and you're just trying them on, you're just touching the fabric, and you're just buying one piece because you can only afford one, as opposed to like five that you could afford it at the lower end store. That's going to be feeding you nutritious food, metaphorically. And similarly, like with all the other examples I gave, and whatever example it would resonate for you, you want to go to those concerts, you want to blast classical music in your car, in your apartment, you know, do that. Don't be afraid. Oh, my roommates, or if someone like knocks on my door and they come to my door, my apartment, they're going to hear like I'm listening to classical music, or I'm listening to rock music, and I'm not listening to hip hop, or I'm listening to hip hop and I'm not listening to rock. Or, you know, it's some sort of dichotomy here. It's like, oh, they're going to hear what I'm listening to, but I'm not listening to what I'm supposed to be listening to. Or they're going to see what I'm wearing. I'm not supposed to be wearing what I'm supposed to be wearing. They're going to see that I'm actually doing my makeup and I'm not dimming myself down because they're afraid of how beautiful I am, or something like that. So, or they're going to see I'm hanging out with these people. Some of you, I'm seeing like you're in university and your university friends are maybe a little bit more, they're not in alignment with your old friends. And you're kind of afraid, oh, if I go out with these friends, my old friends might pop by, or they might pass by and they're going to see, oh, look, she's hanging out, or he's hanging out with them now. Like, look, who, now she's too good for us, type of thing. and you kind of feel like you have to make an excuse. Oh no, we were just studying or something like that. Just forget all of that. Just cut all of that out. Life is too short for this. It's enough. I'm feeling like most of you guys are past teenage years. You're at least college age, if not older. It's enough. Cut them out. Throw yourself into these things that really bring you joy, that really touch your heart and your soul. And if that includes your family, you have to cut out spouses you married when you were 20, who now you're 30 and they don't resonate with you anymore, so be it. Old friends you had when you were 14 who used to make fun of you in school, but you're still friends anyway, cut them out. Family, friends, cut them out if they're not in alignment with where you want to go, okay? So I really hope that made sense. Let me know if it resonated in the comment section. I appreciate that. And I will see you in my next reading. Hello, pal number 2. Welcome to your reading. So, diving straight into your reading, one of the first things I'm seeing with this Divine Feminine card and the Let Your Light Shine, I just had a vision of women. In your past life, you're a woman, all of you. And I'm having a vision of a woman who either could not give birth and felt like a failure as a woman, or she gave birth out of wedlock. In your past life, you grew up in a very religious society, in a very religious household as well. God and religion played a strong role in your upbringing and in the society you lived in. It was expected that people conform to certain rules and expectations. Also, it was expected that women in particular conform to certain rules and expectations. You did something with your body that was out of alignment with these expectations. Like I said, some of you, I'm picking up, you could not have children. For the life of you, you were barren, or you just kept having miscarriages. Others of you, you had a child out of wedlock. Now, I'm picking up that you guys ended up going into a convent in your later years. Some of you, it could have been a little bit earlier. You didn't have to be old when you went in. But I'm seeing about 30 as the minimum age, upwards until about 45. This is the age range where you guys either went into a convent or separated yourself or isolated yourself from society in some way, because you were not fitting in. I feel like the people around you thought that there was something wrong with you. They thought that you were possessed in some way, or they thought that you were cursed. You had some sort of affliction. They thought that you were cursed. They thought that you were possessed. They thought that God had abandoned you. And you went into some sort of life of isolation or servitude to either a very religious family or in an actual convent and nunnery. Now, the issue here is that there's some sort of opposition happening between womanhood and religion and spirituality and godness. This is the main core of what's causing you lack in abundance. That's causing you a lack in abundance, whether it be love, friendship, family, and finances. Now, some of you believe deep down that if you become too successful, you are not a woman, because women are not supposed to be this successful. Now, I have to just stop and say that if you're a male watching this, you are either gay or you probably picked the wrong pile. So some of you guys have a a subconscious belief that you cannot be super successful past a certain point as a woman, that it's not possible or that it shouldn't be possible. Others of you feel like you are indebted in some way to people around you. I'm seeing like you feel like you need to take care of other people's children. You're feeling like you need to take care of other people's problems, that they need to come to you with their problems, or that you need to take care of their children or pick up the slack for other people. Again, this is very Cancerian energy for this group as well. And I'm seeing Pisces as well. Maybe that's your south node. One of those signs are your south node, or it's sun, moon, rising. There's also a very religious element here. I would be surprised if you guys did not grow up in a religious household in this lifetime. I don't care what religion it was. This seems like a group of people who all grew up in a religious household. And if you grew up in an atheist household, you always felt like something was missing. You always felt like there was a God, and you felt that the beliefs, the atheistic beliefs that your parents had were wrong, and that there was just a gap missing. The thing is, your soul wants to do something that's outside of a paradigm that you are stuck in from this past life. Because you feel like you failed in this past life, in this one, you're trying to rectify that. But in the ways you're trying to rectify it, it's directly contradicting any type of true, deep, loyal friendship and relationships, as well as financial abundance. Because the type of people who you attract are going to be parasitic, because you're very empathic. So in this lifetime, you're not really attracting people who love you for you. They love you for what you can do for them and what you do for them, because you're not someone who says no very often. You don't really have boundaries. Boundaries are almost non-existent for you. It's like you're trying to atone. You're still trying to atone for this, for failing as a woman. This is what it is. You're trying to atone in this lifetime for failing as a woman in the last one. And in so doing, you are foregoing your right to have true, deep, loving connections, as well as real financial abundance. You are basically projecting the feminine in the sort of negative, toxic version of itself, where it's almost a black hole that just absorbs everyone's shit and doesn't receive. It just absorbs, but it doesn't keep anything of substance, if this is making sense. I'm just seeing like a black hole, like you're trying to fill up this void, like you're still guilty from this past life. This is all subconscious, by the way. There's still a lot of healing to be done. You have the healer card here, and you also have healer of the ages here from two different decks. There's still a lot of healing that needs to be done with the divine feminine in you. And for those of you who are gay males, or even if you're a gay female as well, this is going to weigh heavy on you as well, because if you're a gay male, you feel more feminine, but at the same time, you're born a man, so you feel like you're not man enough, you're not woman enough, you can't carry children, and you feel inadequate to your boyfriend and you know, your relationships. You feel like you'll never truly attain the type of womanhood that you want to attain. And if you're a gay female, that's even worse. I'm putting that in quotes, because you're totally not being who a female should be. So there's a real dichotomy happening here, seriously, with regards to the feminine with this group. A lot of you guys may resonate with having abusive relationships or attracting narcissists or toxic people, particularly men. But parasites, vampires in all sense, whether they're females or males, are just attracted to you. So, okay, here's the thing. Let's try to solve this issue. The thing is, you guys know that okay, here's the thing. There's something else that your soul wants to do. With the Soulcraft card, what your soul really, really, truly wants to do is clouded, it's covered in this outer layer facade of a need to fulfill your feminine female duty to the world by either allowing a lot of people to impregnate you. Maybe you have a bunch of baby daddies, or by just allowing anyone to sleep with you, and by allowing anyone to talk to you and dump their problems on you, just stuff like that. Just being a pushover. You're a pushover. I'm sorry, but you're a pushover. And you're a pushover when it comes to the quality of friends and relationships you accept into your life, and you're a pushover when it comes to the quality of jobs and finances and raises you accept in your life. You guys don't ask for raises at your job. You may not even work, but if you do work, you don't ask for raises. Even though you've been there for a long time, you're pretty stable. And I'm telling you this, if you are due for a raise, if you resonate with having worked at a place for a long time, you are due for a raise. I'm sure a coworker sitting next to you in the same position probably makes more than you, especially if they're a man, but you're too afraid to ask. Anyways, I'm just putting that out there. So let's focus now on fixing this issue. Yeah, a lot of healing that needs to be done. There is a dissonance with a higher power happening here. What I'm trying to figure out is if you should move towards higher power, towards God, or if you should, for the time being, stay away to heal. I'm going to cast another card. Okay, so I literally had one flew out. One flew out. It's the woman holding a heart in reverse, I believe. And this is, to me, this means that this is going to be different for all of you. You guys are all in different stages of your life, and you need to identify what has been, with regards to God, what has been causing you a lot of pain. Has a lack of God in your life, a lack of religious structure, a lack of feeling loved by a higher power who really can love you unconditionally, even with all your failures, quote unquote failures. If that lack of that love is very evident in your life, you need to dive yourself into religion. That's what you need to do to help you heal. Because this higher power is going to be able to love you. God is going to be able to love you in a way that no one, no person, no human being on earth can ever love you. Even the human beings who were super healed and super high advanced and super evolved. But you're not even at the very least attracting these types of people. But even those people couldn't love you the way that God will love you. So if you feel like there is a huge gap with regards to true love and actually feeling accepted for who you are without having to do anything really, you need to dive yourself into religion. However, if you feel like you're being smothered by expectation, religious doctrine, expectations from when you were a child telling you that you need to do this and you need to do that because you're a woman, and you can't do this and you can't do that because you're a woman, and you feel oppressed, you need to take a step back. And this is going to be temporary, because what you need to do is separate the humans, and I'm seeing males. It's going to be your father, who also your mother as well, because women perpetuate this nonsense as well. But you need to, and also culture, you need to take a step back from this religion and take as much time as you need to sift through and separate what is humans imposing their ideas onto you and their expectations onto you, and what is actually in the canon, what is actually the word of God. Does God literally tell you that you can't do this? Does God literally tell you that you have to do this? Or was it your uncle telling you that? Was it your pastor or your imam telling you that? Was it your rabbi telling you that? Who told you that? So if you feel oppressed, you need to take a step back in order to sift through the nonsense, sift through people's bull, and get back to the core of what God really wants from you, what his word actually is, if you feel oppressed. And again, like I said, if you feel like there's a big void, you need to just dive yourself into this religion. So religion is playing and this is actually ironic because I just did a reading for June, a June reading, and one of the groups actually had a religion card come out, and religion was going to play a significant role for them in June. So if you watch that video, that June reading video, and you pick that pile, that's even double confirmation right there. So just to try to wrap this up and to help you understand more concretely, what is really causing a problem with your abundance is you being in the negative form of the divine feminine. You allowing yourself to be a pushover, pushed around, a martyr. You allowing yourself to be stomped around, abused. You taking on other people's emotions, taking on their shit, taking on their negative thoughts, their negative beliefs, what they tell you can and cannot do, what you feel you can and cannot do. You're taking it all in and you're just accepting your lot in life. You're being extremely passive in a negative sense. This is what's happening. And there's also an opposition here on the other end happening with God and religion, where either you feel like this true love that tells you you were loved even if you have 5 kids from 5 different men, or you are still loved even if you're barren once again in this lifetime, or you're still loved even if you're 40, 35 and still unmarried, or you've been divorced or something like that, that you're still loved. If you feel that gap, there's also that other aspect of it as well that's playing a role. You need to fill that gap. Or if you feel oppressed by religion, you need to take a step back and sift through once again other people's crap it's in there. I'm telling you, I'm seeing like a bowl of like flour that has chunks of like gray stuff in it. You need to take a sifter and sift through that. Get only the pure white fluffy flour out. That's the pure word of God. What is truly love, what's really going to serve you. And take out all the gray nonsense that's just what humans have been projecting upon you and telling you in your culture and in your home for years. This is you're in a sort of tug of war right now. You're in a tug of war where you're on the very negative aspect of the divine feminine yin side, and then you have this oppressive yang side, which is God, that's either not there, like I said, or it's oppressive. I really hope this is making sense, because it's making sense to me, but it's important that it's making sense to you. So like I said, what you need to do, religion is going to play a big role for you now, which is again ironic because of that June reading. And decide the way you feel about it. Also, when it comes to these people, if you resonate with those people, like your father, your mother, your uncles, your people in your community who have been just feeding you these things, from these negative mindsets, these negative beliefs from when you were a child growing up, a teenager, a young woman, telling you what you can and cannot do, separate yourself from them. You need to separate yourself from them, because this is just going to be negativity feeding into negativity. And what you need to do is separate to sift through the nonsense. And if you're having people with that nonsense in your life feeding you the nonsense after you've just sifted through it, you're going to reacquire it. So you need to separate yourself from these people. And it's going to be difficult for someone like you to do, because you're such in that negative aspect of the feminine energy that you're going to feel obliged to answer everyone's phone call and everyone's summons. And you are going to have a hard time saying no. So one of the things you need to focus on right now is saying no to what doesn't resonate with your soul. So if it's a boss who's asking too much of you, asking you to do too much overtime, and he's not paying you overtime, you need to say no. You need to either pay me overtime, or I'm not doing that extra work. If someone's asking you to babysit their kid and they're not paying you for it, or you wanted to just spend some time alone, but they called you last minute, and you already told them before, could you not call me last minute? Could you give me at least like 24 hours notice? And they say okay, but every time they always call you with like 5 hours notice. Tell them no. The next time they do that, say no. You need to call me with 24 hours notice, like I told you. You need to start putting your foot down. You need to practice being in the masculine. That's what you need to do. Practice being more assertive. Say no where you want to say no, and be firm with that no. That's really a great place to start. If something doesn't sit right with you, if a job offer doesn't sit right with you, if a romantic prospect offer doesn't sit right with you, tell him no, tell her no, go away. If a friend hasn't been sitting right with you for a long time and you feel like they're a vampire draining your energy, tell them no. You don't have time to hang out with them. You don't have time to talk to them for 2 hours while they like bitch about their life. Tell them no. If your uncle wants to hang out with you and he's one of these people who are feeding into the negative paradigm of, oh yeah, you're a woman, you need to, why are you divorced? You failed at marriage, or you failed at life because you're not married yet and you're 35. Cut them out of your life now. Okay? So I really hope this made sense. I hope that resonated, and I hope it helped you. Let me know in the comment section, and I will see you in my next reading. Hello, pal number 3. Welcome to your reading. So, first off, I just want to show you some extra cards because I asked for a small clarification on what is on the opposite end of this channeling ability. And of course, once again, in Oracle card fashion, I got a few extra cards, even though I only asked for one. So I just want to show it to you. So, and I may just harken back to it later on. So you got the anxiety in reverse, you got thinking man upright, you got journey upright, and you got thinking woman in reverse. And then underneath the deck, you have temple path upright. So I'm going to put these away. And let me explain what's going on. So first of all of you guys had a past life in Egypt. It's coming off here with this horse energy card right next to the star ancestors, which depicts pyramids. One of your prominent past lives that is causing you, I would say, the most issues now with regards to your prosperity is this past life in Egypt. You have some sort of hidden talent, some old wisdom, and some ancestral capabilities, powers that have been blocked over the lifetimes. And I feel like they've been blocked because you haven't been using them correctly. Now, I'm not seeing anything dark here. What I'm more seeing is you just getting distracted by life. And more particularly, it seems like you have been getting distracted by lovers and by people, by romance even, by friends, by companionship, and that sort of stuff. So on one side of the spectrum, we have you and your strong channeling ability and your deep wisdom that spans well beyond this realm, like well beyond this realm. And we also have your soulcraft ability that was passed on to you, and some sort of artistic ability that you have naturally to express these channeled information. It could be painting, it could be sculptures, could be writing, songs. Could be reading, like divination as well, a mediumship. It's something like that. It's one of those things or something similar to that you're very skilled in. Now, on the other side of that, we have the distraction of the 3D realm. So if you can remember those cards that I pulled out, what they depict is someone who is getting distracted by things so like education, going to the right university, getting the right career, finding the right spouse, keeping the right home, wearing the right clothes, living in the right neighborhood, having the right friends, that sort of thing. I feel like that's the trap that you fell into in your past lives. It could have been this one in Egypt that you fell into that there, and then it's just been passing along ever since. Or it could be another lifetime that this happened in, but I really feel like because this is coming up with this Egyptian aspect, I mean, it could be this, it could be another lifetime, but there's definitely a skill that you've had since this your Egyptian life when it comes to channeling. And in some life, you dropped the ball with this ability, this high priestess ability, to focus on the 3D realm, to focus on the here and now, what's actually happening around you, the distractions in the matrix. So this is what has been happening in this lifetime with regards to your prosperity with people, with companions, friends, family, romance, prosperity, wealth, finances, that sort of stuff. All of that. Here's what's been happening. The universe is, or and God, whatever you want to call it, is preventing you, actively preventing you from getting distracted once again in this lifetime. You're coming off as someone with ADD in a spiritual sense, kind of like spiritual ADD. The highest level of your soul vibrates at a very, very high. Your soul vibrates at a very high level. So far, it's the highest level vibration out of the 3 piles I've done so far. The thing is, when you incarnate, you get distracted. And I don't see you getting distracted in like a negative way, because everyone gets distracted here. Like the whole point of this matrix is to just distract you. Well, I mean, that's not the deeper point. The deepest point, you're supposed to break through that distraction, etc. But I mean, like the matrix itself is a distraction. So everyone gets distracted. You're not alone with this. But the thing is, you have such a high vibrational inner being, and you have such a strong connection to source and to higher realms, that the fact that you're still getting distracted is a little, annoying now for God, for the universe. I don't want to put God, I don't want to say God's annoyed with you. I'll just say the universe, because I'm sure it's even annoying for you too, because I'm sure every time you end your lifetime and you have your review, you're just like, what in the hell? Like, seriously? Like, you're just annoyed with yourself as well. So this whole thing is just a little annoying. It's like, basically, and I don't mean to trivialize this because it's very serious, but to give like an example, it's like a kid who you give them money, like your mom. The mom gives the kid money, says, go to the corner store, pick up a loaf of bread and come back. Here's the money. Okay, mom. So the kid goes out to the corner store. They're walking down the street, walking down the sidewalk. And then, a car passes. Oh, look, a red car. And then a black car passes, and then a red one passes. They're like, oh, 2 red cars out of 3. Like, what are the chances? That's cool. And then after they see a kid riding by on their bike, oh, that's a nice bike. I wish I had a bike that was that nice. And then you see someone walking down the street holding their kid's hand, and you're like, oh, how cute. I remember when I was her age. And then after you get to the shop, and then you open the door, someone says hi to you, you're like, oh, hey. And then after you're thinking, oh, I like their pants. And then, I'm sorry if you can hear my neighbors yelling outside. I have the window open. And then you see, oh, look, there's candy. There's those little sour key candies. There are those those sugar straw candies. Can't remember what they're, pixie sticks, or I don't know if they still sell those nowadays, but you're like, oh, and there's some gummy worms. Here's some of those peach fuzz and stuff like that. You're like, oh, here's some chocolate, some dark chocolate, some milk chocolate, some white chocolate. And then you're like, oh, here's a drink. Here's that drink with the bubbles in it. Here's like the drink with the aloe pieces in it and stuff. And then you're like, hey, I think I want to get some candy. So like you're in this store. Basically, you're in this store. The trip from your home to the store and back home was supposed to take like say 20 minutes. And then like an hour and a half later, you get back home and your mom's like, "Why did it take you so long and where's the bread?" And you have a mouthful of candy and chocolate and an Arizona can, and you're chugging it down. You're just like, "Oh crap, I forgot. I'm sorry." So this is literally the story I'm having, like this that I'm seeing, like the vision. This is essentially what's happening on the spiritual level. Like you start out very high vibrational, you're full of love, full of compassion, very empathic, strong artistic communication abilities, whether it be through songwriting, through poetry, through regular like prose writing, through art, through counseling, something that you're great at, and you come down here and you're supposed to channel information from higher realms, and then you just go, oh look, a pretty dress, oh look, university, oh look, friends, oh look, a cute boy, and it just keeps happening. So I don't see you getting distracted with like quote unquote like negative dark energy things like drugs, alcohol, and that sort of stuff. But from a spiritual sense, this is still kind of negative because you just keep getting distracted. So all that to say, in this lifetime, what's happening is that all of this abundance that I mentioned, the friends, the quality friends, the abundance of friends, quality family members, finances, stable finances and stuff, is why you're not abundant in this lifetime, is because they keep getting shut down so that you won't get distracted. Because you always get distracted. You have ADD. In a spiritual sense, you have ADD. So how do you become more prosperous, more abundant? You do this by focusing on your life purpose. And there comes in the temple card that I had underneath the deck. I'll show you. This one. Here's where this one comes into play. That's how you don't get distracted, is by focusing on your life path, your life purpose, what this soul craft is for you, what this artist card means for you, what this lover card means for you, what really lights you up. What do you really truly want to be doing? What do you feel like you're really truly supposed to be doing? Something that requires you to channel information and channel in something that requires you to channel inspiration and information from higher realms and to put it into concrete form on the earth here. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be producing some work of art. Or it could also be mediumship as well, like I said, divination. Or it could be something in the spiritual faculties, might even be religion as well, because we do have this monk nun card here. But it's something either in the spiritual / religious / like, metaphysical sense, like a career aspect, or it's something kind of artistic, might even be acting as well. Something sort of artistic in that sort of career sense. It's one of those that or it might be a combination. You're supposed to be doing something like that. You need to pinpoint exactly what it is from those groups, and you need to focus on that. That's how you get your abundance and your prosperity back in this lifetime. Because whenever you are walking off into the wrong direction, a huge boulder comes in your way. The universe sends a huge boulder, and it manifests in lack, in disappointment, in things falling apart, in tower moments. And that's what it manifests like in the victory card, but like in reverse, like failures. That's what it would manifest as in real life, in your lifetime. Like say you're trying to apply for a job, you think you would really like this job, and then you think you're well qualified for it, but for some reason you don't get it. That's a big boulder again, because that job in one of those categories that I just gave you. If it wasn't, then you understand now why you didn't get that job. You understand now why that friend or that potential boyfriend or potential girlfriend didn't call you back. Are they doing something in one of those fields that I mentioned? Are they sympathetic to people who work in those fields that I mentioned? Are they high vibrational? If not, then that's why they didn't call you back. You have your answer. So this group is actually the most straightforward out of the 3 that I've done so far. It's essentially, you just need to focus on your life path, your life purpose. You need to focus on it. It's something to do with receiving inspiration and information from higher realms, and putting it in concrete form and sharing it in concrete form here on earth. This is what you're supposed to be doing. So I'm sorry, but that accountant job that you applied for, or that secretarial job that you applied for, is not it. It's not it. That degree that you're trying to go for, that's, I don't know, in management, that's not it. That's not it. And that's why you're always failing at these things, because that's not it. That hot girl summer, hot boy summer trend that you're trying to follow, or those friends that who follow those trends that you're trying to have acquaintances with, that's why they're not hanging out with you. That's why they're saying you can't sit with us. That's why they're being mean girls and saying you can't sit with us, because they're huge. That's a huge boulder. You're getting distracted once again. You don't need to be focused on these kinds of things. Stop following these people on social media. You don't need to be seeing someone strutting around their new plastic surgery. I'm not trying to be rude to these people, but for someone like you, just cut it out. You have ADD in the spiritual sense. You don't need to be following these people. You don't need to be trying to hang out with these people. You don't need to be trying to work in these companies that don't align with what you're actually supposed to be doing with your life. Like, there's no need. I know you might be thinking, oh, I need the money, but you're going to get the money and the prosperity, I'm telling you right now, when you're going at and doing what you're actually supposed to be doing. So the reason those things are never going to work out, even if you end up getting that job, I'm telling you, in 3 months time, 6 months time max, you're going to get fired. You're going to get let go. You're going to have to quit for some reason. You probably resonate with always like jumping around from job to job, or jumping around from friend to friend, jumping around from boyfriend to boyfriend, girlfriend to girlfriend. Nothing's ever really stable if they come at all. If they come at all for you. Okay, this is exactly why you have to focus on your life path, what it is that you're supposed to be doing. You guys are high vibrational channels. You're here for a higher purpose. You're here to dip your toes in, get the work done, and get the F out of here and never come back. So stop getting distracted, because your distraction is what's causing you to have to keep coming back. And that really includes people and relationships. Stop being boy crazy, girl crazy. Some of you, I'm seeing, you're like kind of boy crazy, girl crazy. This might be the time for you to go celibate for a while with this card here. This might be for a while. Focus on your higher plan, your dharma, what you're supposed to be doing. Stop, eliminate things that are a distraction and people who are a distraction, okay? I don't care if you have to literally go to a convent or a nunnery or a monastery for a couple months or something like that. If that's what you have to do, so you go off and live in a cabin in the woods for a couple months. If that's what you have to do to just focus, then that's what you have to do to focus. But you need to really, really focus. Okay? And in your past lives, you never did what you were supposed to do. Or you did it half-assedly, like only halfway. You never fully accomplished what you set out before incarnating to do in those other lifetimes. And this is why it's essentially all come down to this one. You have to do what you set out to do, and you have to do it fully 100%. So you may get other past life readings that will say something like, oh, in your past life, you were married, and then it's only after you were a widow that you actually started your career, or you only started your career when you were old, or something like that. that might be something along the lines of what happened in one of your past lives if you get any reading, or if you watch the one that I did, because once again you got distracted by something else, and people, I'm seeing people being the center of it. So another thing you might resonate with in this lifetime is having very shitty people around you, and or not having a lot of people around you at all. You probably don't have a lot of friends. You probably have less than stellar family members and parents. You may even be a full out orphan. Okay. So once again, I'm just reiterating, if you're applying for jobs and you're thinking, I don't really want to do this, but I kind of need the money, I'm telling you, just let it go. Do not apply. Do not waste your time, because I assure you, you're not going to get it. Or if you do get it, you're not going to be there for very long. I assure you. If I'm wrong, you can come back. You can yell at me in the comment section. I assure you 100%, if you get that job at all, you're not going to be there for long. I assure you, if you're looking at some people you want to hang out with and they're like sort of very shallow and superficial, even if they let you hang out with them, you're not going to be friends with them for long. You guys are going to start a group chat, and slowly they're going to move the group chat into a new group chat, and you're going to be the only one who's not added to the new group chat. I assure you. I promise you, okay? So let it go. Stop getting distracted. Focus, focus, focus. That's what you need to do, because your prosperity doesn't lie in these other little avenues that you're getting distracted with. Your prosperity lies in your dharma, your life path, your life purpose, your higher purpose, what you're supposed to be doing, okay? So those are your messages. I hope that resonated and I hope that helped you. Let me know in the comment section, and I will see you in my next reading. Hello, pal number 4. Welcome to your reading. So I asked for a few more cards just to clarify what I had in my head was going on. And I just want to show you the cards. I'm not going to keep them in the layout because there's no space, but I just want to show it to you because I may harken back to them. So you have Blossoming Abundance, Walking Away, Angel of Balance, and Door to Spirit. Okay. And underneath the deck, when I shuffled again, you have Adjacent Possibilities. So here's the thing. You guys are in the wrong job. You're in the wrong field. You're in the wrong career field. Now, this reading is for abundance in all forms: love, friends, family, and finances. But your particular group is coming off heavy career and finances. I don't see that you have much of a problem making friends. In fact, I see you as being pretty darn popular. The thing is, you're not making the right kind of friends and you're not in the right career. You guys have a tendency to follow the coins. You follow where the money trail is, and the money trail leads you to a position that is not super moral. It leads you to a position that is not helping other people. In fact, it leads you to a position that oppresses other people sometimes. Now, some of you might be getting on the defense and saying, what are you talking about? I'm only an accountant. However, if you are crunching numbers to prevent certain customers of your client getting as much of a refund as they're entitled to, then you qualify for what I just said. So you have to think long and hard of what career field you're actually in and what you're actually doing, what your job implies, your job details imply. What are you doing? Even if you're a teacher, are you going along with the school board or the school that says you can't teach a certain thing, or you have to teach a certain thing even though you know that it's wrong and incorrect, but you're teaching it anyway? Then you qualify for what I said. If you're a nurse or you work in a hospital and there are some practices in the hospital that put certain patients at disadvantage, yet you have the power to go to the people to have it changed, or you have the power to not do it at all, not listen to them, and you have such a strong union that they couldn't fire you if you don't do it, yet you're still doing it, you qualify for what I said. If you're working for a company that you know frequently pockets donations and doesn't use all of the donations that they receive, but you say, well, I'm not working in that department, I just work for the company, even though I know the company does that, that's not my department. I don't work in the financing, accounting department or donations department. I work in customer service, or I work in like public relations department. You still qualify for what I'm saying. So those are just to give you some examples. Also, with this athlete card, if you work for a team, if you're an athlete and you work for a team that is maybe the owner of the team you know is racist, or they are pro certain things that they shouldn't be pro, or they allow for certain violations of human rights or women's rights or something like that, and they let it slide. For example, if you're in the military and you know there are a lot of sexual assaults that go covered up, but you say, well, I'm not the one doing it, I'm not the one in power who's making the decisions that it's going to be covered up, I have nothing to do with it, I'm just in the organization, but you are well aware of what's going on and you're not speaking up, you're not saying anything, you qualify for this reading and what I'm saying. Okay, so those are just some examples. I'm not going to keep going, but you get the idea. This, of course, this pattern has been something that has been passed on from a past life. You had a pattern in that past life of following the coins as well. I feel like you were pretty darn wealthy in your past life. Also, you may have come from a well-off family in this one, an upper middle class family in this life as well. If not, you worked hard to get yourself out of poverty, some of you I'm seeing. And now you're successful. And you're the most successful person in your family. So the issue is now you're sort of on the other side of the fence. You came from one type of family. Of course, I'm sticking with the subgroup of you who came from a poorer family, not the one who came from the upper middle class family. But now you're on the other side of the fence. You may have originated from a certain neighborhood, but now you're, for example, a police officer who polices similar neighborhoods or that very neighborhood, and you just allow your partner to commit aggressive acts against citizens and you don't file reports or something like that. You are now on the other side of things. If you resonate with not coming from a wealthy family or a well-off family, and you are in a career field that is not either just like turning a blind eye to people who need help, or is actively putting them at a disadvantage. Or if you're the other subgroup who came from a upper middle class family, you're following in the footsteps of your family. You went to the top university and stuff like that. But the same practices that your father or your mother and your grandfather, your grandmother frequently overlooked in their profession, you're also overlooking it in your profession as well, because you think it comes with the territory. That's the slogan of this group should be, it comes with the territory. That's what you say. It comes with the job. It just comes with the job. It comes with the territory. So anyways, what is happening is that you are on a journey that is going to take you out of this mentality, this lifestyle. It is going to instill a strong amount of morals in you. This is very much like any movie where you have someone who's not the villain, but someone who's just friends of the villain who ends up switching sides. Like the one that's coming to my mind is I think her name was Ephraim from Hunger Games. It's been a while since I've watched the later ones after the revolution and stuff like that. But she was of course a high-ranking member of the capital, the wealthy citizens. But later on, she ended up being part of the resistance, if I recall correctly. So it's like that sort of energy. You're friends of these people, you work with these people, you work for these people. But you're going to have this revolution, this inner shift where at some point you're going to have to deviate away from these people to go back to the people who actually need your help and to help them properly, not to pretend to help them or just to give lip service the way that you're doing right now and the way that the people you're working for and working with are doing right now. This is why your abundance is blocked, because the people you're hanging around with are not in alignment with where you're going to end up later on. They're not high vibrational quality people. And this is why these friendships are not going to last. As soon as you switch and as soon as you have your revolution, your evolution, you're not going to be friends with them anymore. These friendships are not going to be for the long term. Also, in terms of abundance, you may resonate with actually making a high salary right now where you're working, or making a pretty good salary where you're working. But you're still at a cutoff point that you can't get beyond, or even if you get bonuses and promotions, your expenses seem to increase as soon as you get promotions every year. If you get a promotion or a raise every year, some your output, your expenses increase to the same level every year to match it. So you're never making more money. So what, of course, like I said, what has to happen, I see you having a huge career shift. This is like someone going from, I don't want to pick on people's professions, but this is someone going from the villain team to the team who are actually trying to help the people who are oppressed. This is people going from citizens of the Capitol, if we're keeping with Hunger Games, and to the Mockingjay resistance team. These are people going from maybe sympathizers with Death Eaters, if we would switch to Harry Potter, to being in Dumbledore's army. You're not going to be able to take a neutral stance anymore. I feel like you're trying to convince yourself that you've been taking a neutral stance, but you've actually been following the coins, following the money. That's what you've been doing this entire time. It's not a neutral stance, even though you're not actively, I mean, some of you are actively doing things against these people. Like I said, even if you're an accountant and you're scamming people out of their rightful dividends or refunds or what have you, you're doing it. Or you could just work for these companies in a different department, and say that you're just taking a neutral stance, but at some point it's not going to work anymore. So this group, there's a dichotomy between what your soul is yearning for you to do and what you're actually doing. So your soul is yearning for you to focus on healing people, on rescuing people, on helping people, on being a mediator between people who need your help. There are people who need your help. Well, with the scribe and pioneer, you might actually invent something that will help them. You're probably going to start your own company, or you may write some books, some self-help books. You may also work in the legal system right now, and you're going to switch companies, switch firms, law firms. Whereas the law firm you work for now usually defends people who are guilty, you're going to switch to some law firm at some point in your life that actually defends people who need defense. the real victims. Instead of defending the rapist, you're going to be soon defending the victims. And that shift needs to occur. You may start your own firm, your own company, like I said. You may write some books. I'm seeing you may switch teams if you're an athlete. You may speak up against the team, like Colin Kaepernick, against the institution it was more against. You may speak up against the educational system if you're a teacher. You may see firsthand that, there's less funding for certain students. You may decide to switch schools, switch from the private school and switch to the inner city schools where you can actually help people who are more grateful for their education. Perhaps. Again, we have the students. Some of you are definitely teachers. In terms of professions, I'm picking up accountants, lawyers, or people in law, police officers, or people in justice, military, athletes, teachers, writers, journalists. You might be writing. Oh, yeah, journalists. Let's leave it at that. Did I say teacher? I said that. Those are the professions I'm seeing. But of course, it's a general reading, could be anything, but those are really the professions I'm seeing here. Okay, so that's what's blocking your abundance. And it's also blocking your abundance with true friends, because these friends, these coworkers, I'm seeing like a bunch of coworkers around you. They're not real friends. Maybe you go golfing. They're not going to last once you switch to a new business, a new company. Once you switch to a new career field. Some of you are going to go into counseling and become a psychologist or a social worker. Some of you are really journalists and you're tired of reporting biased news and spinning the news in ways that are biased. Well, you're soon going to be tired of it. Everyone's on different timelines here. This is a general reading. Most of you are not there yet, though, I'm seeing. You're not there yet. Because we started off with this wait card. There's still a wait for most of you guys. A long wait, couple more years. Before you finally snap and have this epiphany and this spiritual evolution, where you get to the point where you want to switch and stop perpetuating a system that disadvantages people. And that's what's happening. You're following the coin and you're perpetuating this system. You're remaining silent. So that's what's blocking your abundance. You're at a salary cap. Like I said, if you get an increase in your salary, you also get an increase in your expenses that match it. So you're at a salary cap. You won't actually break that ceiling until after you have this, you listen to your inner voice and you have this awakening. That's what's going to happen. It's an awakening. So after you have this awakening, after listening to your inner voice and after going through some healing, you have some childhood healing that needs to be done, some healing and some cutting of some cords from past lives, cutting of these cords that make you feel like you need to follow the people in power in order to have stability. After all that healing, and I'm sorry if you hear the music in the background, and I have my window open, it's people driving by in their cars. After you do that healing, you listen to your inner voice, you have this awakening, you're going to be able to break that salary cap, the ceiling that you've been at that you're going to be at until this happens. I don't care if you make a good amount of money. Some of you, I'm seeing a group, anywhere from, I'm seeing like 40,000 to like 300,000 a year salary. But I don't care what it is. It's a cap. You can't really get beyond that. Even if you think you are, like I said, your expenses are increasing proportionately to any increase in finances, in income. Okay, so yeah, that's how you're going to That's what's blocking your abundance. That's what's blocking you from getting quality friends as well. And that's what's blocking your finances from you breaking that ceiling. And it's going to be for a lot of you, I'm seeing 5 years, another 5 years, but you're all on different time frames, so take that with a grain of salt, that timeline. Okay, so those are your messages. I hope that helped you. Let me know if that resonated, and I will see you in my next reading.